I'm Dawn Hill, host of Heart, Mind, and Purpose, a podcast where we explore what it means to live an aligned and wholehearted life. I am a professional counselor with over 25 years of experience and a deep love for meaningful conversation. I bring you honest reflections, soulful questions, and meaningful tools for managing life. Whether you're seeking clarity, connection, or simply a space to breathe, this podcast is here for you. Tune in weekly and join me on the journey.
Welcome to Heart, Mind, and Purpose, the podcast where we explore how our inner lives shape the way we love, connect, and grow. Hi, this is Paul Gramercy, producer of today's episode, where Dawn explores how trauma is not only remembered in the mind, but also stored in the body. She unpacks the concept behind the body keeps a score and explains emotional flashbacks, those moments when the nervous system reacts as if the past is happening in the present. Through practical insight and compassionate clarity, this conversation helps us understand why our reactions may feel bigger than the moment and how healing begins by teaching the body what safety feels like again. Now here's your host, Dawn Hill.
Welcome back to Heart, Mind, and Purpose. Today we're going to talk about something that many people experience but don't always understand. You may have felt it without having words for it, that tight chest, that sudden wave of fear, the feeling of being overwhelmed by something that doesn't seem to match the moment you are in. We're going to talk about how trauma is not only something we remember in our minds, it's something our bodies remember. We're going to explore something called emotional flashbacks, where your nervous system reacts as if you're back in a painful moment from the past, even when you're completely safe in the present. If you have ever wondered, why am I feeling this way? Or why does this feel bigger than it should? This conversation is for you. So please settle in with me as we talk about how our body holds onto experiences and how we can begin to gently help it learn what safety feels like again. Have you ever noticed your shoulders tense when someone raises their voice or your stomach tightens before a difficult conversation? Those little moments are reminders of something we don't talk about often enough. Trauma lives in the body. Our physical form remembers far more than we realize. As a counselor, I've often heard people say, I thought I was over that, but their body tells them a different story. Because trauma doesn't just stay in our thoughts, it settles into our muscles, our breathing, our posture, and our nervous system. The breath shortens, chest tightens, and the heart learns to brace for impact. And over time, those patterns become habits, silent reminders of moments we couldn't fully process. Until we learn to listen to those signals, our bodies keep repeating the message, hoping we'll finally pay attention. Research shows us that trauma isn't only psychological, it's biological and physiological. When we go through something overwhelming, our nervous system moves into survival mode, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, and that energy has nowhere to go. If we can't run, speak up, or protect ourselves, it stays stored in the body. Over time, this can show up as things like chronic tension or pain, digestive issues, fatigue, and emotional numbness. I see this all the time in therapy. Someone comes in because of a relationship struggle, but beneath it all is a body that is all wired for threat. Their mind knows they're safe, but their nervous system hasn't caught up yet. Our bodies often become emotional maps. Different kinds of trauma tend to show up in different areas. For instance, neck and shoulders carry emotional burdens and responsibilities for others. Stomach and gut carry anxiety, shame, unprocessed fear. The vagus nerve connects here deeply. It's the longest nerve in your body. It goes from your brain to your gut. Then there's the chest and the heart, and this carries grief, loss, or betrayal. And then lower back and pelvis are usually boundary violations, sexual trauma, and chronic instability. These aren't rigid rules, but they are common patterns. The body often expresses what the words cannot. Now, how these signs show up in everyday life don't always look dramatic. They can look ordinary. For example, overreacting to small stressors, chronic exhaustion or burnout, difficulty relaxing even when nothing is wrong, feeling numb or disconnected from yourself or others. And here's the important part. These are not personality flaws. They are survival responses. Once we see them that way, healing can begin. Healing trauma isn't just talking about what happened. It's gently teaching the body that it no longer needs to brace for impact. Our autonomic nervous system is constantly scanning for safety or danger. When trauma dysregulates it, we stay stuck in that survival mode even when life is calm. This is why approaches like EMDR, somatic work, and mindfulness practices are so powerful. They help the nervous system relearn safety. In my practice, I use EMDR because it allows the brain and the body to reprocess distressing memories without having to relive them over and over. It helps release physical stress tied to old experiences and replaces it with a new felt sense of safety and control. Learning to listen to your body is important. Many people have learned to ignore their body, to push through it, to stay busy, to intellectualize it. But healing often begins with one simple question. What is my body trying to tell me right now? Start small. Try noticing where you hold the tension. Take small, slow, deep breaths. Feel your feet on the floor. Name what you see around you. And then remind yourself, I am safe now. These small practices build new neural pathways that gently retrain your nervous system towards calm. When trauma lives in the body, it limits our capacity for rest, joy, and connection. But when we learn to listen with compassion, the body can finally begin to relax. Healing doesn't erase what happens, but it changes how it lives inside you. You may not be able to think your way out of trauma, but you can feel your way through it. And with the right support, your body can learn what safety feels like again. If you recognize a tight chest, an anxious stomach, or exhaustion that never lifts, please hear this. Healing is possible. I've seen it again and again. The body holds the pain, yes, but it also holds the map to freedom. So if trauma lives in the body, there is something that begins to make a lot more sense. Those moments when you suddenly feel afraid, ashamed, small, panicked, or like you want to disappear, and you don't even know why. And that's what we call an emotional flashback. And unlike what you see in movies, emotional flashbacks usually do not come with pictures or memories. You're not seeing the past, you're feeling it. An emotional flashback is when your nervous system returns to an emotional state of a past trauma, even if you don't consciously remember the event itself. You may feel things like intense fear, deep shame, helplessness, panic, numbness, or a strong urge to shut down and escape. And it can feel confusing because nothing big is happening in the moment. But your body isn't responding to what's happening. It's responding to what this moment felt like from long ago. This is especially common in people with childhood trauma, emotional neglect, complex trauma, relational trauma, PTSD, or complex PTSD. So here's a practical example of an emotional flashback. Imagine this, if you will. You're at home with your spouse. It's evening, and you're both tired. They say in a slightly irritated tone, "Why didn't you take care of that today?" That's it. That's all they say. But inside you, something explodes. Your chest tightens, your stomach drops, you feel small, and your mind starts to race, thinking things like, I messed up, they're mad at me, I'm in trouble now, and I can't do anything right. You either shut down and go quiet, and this is a freeze response, or become defensive and snap back harder than the situation calls for, and this is a fight response, or feel an overwhelming urge to leave the room, and this is a flee response. Your spouse is confused. To them, this was a normal minor comment, but to your nervous system, the tone of voice felt exactly like the tone of voice from a parent, a caregiver, or a past partner who criticized, shamed, or frightened you. You are not reacting to this moment. You are reacting to a moment from long ago that your body remembers. You're not thinking, this reminds me of when I was 8. You're just suddenly there emotionally. And then later you may think, Why did I react so strongly? What is wrong with me? I want to tell you, nothing is wrong with you. That was an emotional flashback. You may hear yourself thinking things like, I feel like a kid again. I feel like I'm in big trouble. I want to disappear. Or I don't feel safe right now. Or I don't know why this feels so big. The confusion is a clue. Here's another quick example from a work setting. Your boss says, can we talk for a minute? Your heart starts pounding, your palms sweat, you feel dread. Not because of your boss, but because your body remembers what it felt like when an authority figure meant danger. Here's the key to what triggers an emotional flashback. Your nervous system does not respond to facts, it responds to emotional meaning. So the triggers are often emotional, relational, or sensory. You might be triggered by feeling criticized, feeling ignored, feeling rejected, feeling embarrassed, feeling powerless, or feeling abandoned. Or relational things like raised voices, arguments, cold silence, disapproval, authority figures, or romantic rejection, or even sensory cues. A smell, a tone of voice, footsteps, or a slamming door, certain lighting, or the time of day. Sometimes the trigger is inside. It's you're exhausted, you're feeling stressed, you're hungry, you're having certain thoughts or body sensations, and sometimes it can be seasonal, holidays, birthdays, or certain months. You may not remember why, but your body remembers. And the reason it feels so sudden is because the trauma brain reacts faster than logic. The body goes into survival mode before your thinking brain can say, wait, I'm actually safe now. A flashback is not a memory, it's a full body experience. You may feel things like in your emotional area, like terror, shame, rage, emotional collapse, sadness, or numbness. Physically, you can feel your heart is racing, your chest tighten. Some people feel nausea, dizziness, sweating, muscle tension. And mentally, it's confusing, feeling small or feeling trapped, the sense of I am not safe or feeling detached or unreal. This is not overreacting. This is your nervous system reliving threat. People often ask, why is this still happening? It was so long ago. And the answer is because trauma is not stored like regular memories. It's stored as body sensation, emotion, and survival response. So the body reacts first, even when the mind doesn't remember. Here's something tender and important. The brain is trying to protect you. It learned this feeling equals danger. So keep responding as if danger is still present. Ongoing stress, burnout, unstable relationships, or exhaustion can also lower your emotional tolerance and make flashbacks happen more often. And when we shame ourselves for having them, it actually makes them stronger because shame tells the nervous system you're still not safe. You don't reason someone out of an emotional flashback. You regulate them out of it. First, we name it. This is a flashback. I am safe right now. Then grounding the body. Feel your feet on the floor or hold something with texture. Splash cold water on your face or hug a pillow. Slow your breathing down. Inhale through your nose to the count of 4. Then slowly exhale out of your mouth to the count of 6. I'm going to say that again. Inhale slowly through your nose to the count of 4. And then slowly exhale out of your mouth to the count of 6. Then reorient yourself to the present. Remind yourself of today's date, your age, where you are at the moment, and who you are with. And then speak kindly to yourself, reminding yourself, I survived. This will pass. I am not broken, and my body is trying to protect me. An emotional flashback versus a panic attack, they can look similar, but they are very different. Panic says, I am dying. Flashback says, I'm back there. Panic is physical fear. Emotional flashbacks are emotional regression tied to a trauma. Some people experience both at the same time. Emotional flashbacks are not weakness. They are a survival response from a body that learned danger too early, too often, or too deeply. Healing doesn't mean they disappear overnight. Healing means they get shorter, less intense, easier to recover from, and you feel safer in your body again. You are not broken. Your nervous system just learned how to survive, and now with understanding and compassion and the right tools, you can learn to thrive and live. As we wrap up today, I want you to remember this. If you recognized yourself in this conversation, tight shoulders, the anxious stomach, the emotional flashbacks that seem to come out of nowhere, you're not broken. Your body is doing exactly what it learned to do to keep you safe. The goal isn't to force those reactions away. The goal is to help your nervous system learn slowly and gently that you are safe now. Healing from trauma is not just something we think our way through. It's something we feel our way through with patience, awareness, and support. And the beautiful truth is this: the same body that learned to hold pain is also capable of learning to hold peace. Until next time, may you be kind to your heart, clear in your mind, and grounded in your purpose. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Heart, Mind, and Purpose. You can find resources, listener handouts, and information about trauma-informed care at dawnmariehill.com/heart. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode as we keep exploring how the heart, the mind, and our sense of purpose all work together for a life well lived. If you have questions or comments, please contact Dawn at heartmindandpurpose.podcast@gmail.com. Until next time, thanks for listening.